We're joined now by the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman Mike McCaul. Mr. Chairman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
I assume you've been briefed to a certain degree, at least, on this attack, right?
Yes.
Has the U.S. confirmed the ISIS claim of responsibility?
Not yet, but I think it's pretty self-evident when ISIS claims responsibility for the attack and the connections this individual has with his Libyan parents. But in addition, the way this is carried out was very premeditated, using explosive devices that you can read on the Inspiration magazine, but also ISIS's magazine, How to Build a Bomb in the Kitchen of Your Mom. I feel relatively confident. Now, remember, bin Laden's son came out with a directive to attack the West just a week ago, and so there is some internal debate over whether this could be al-Qaeda or ISIS. Either way, it's radical Islamist jihad.
So it's either al-Qaeda or ISIS inspired, but is it specifically directed? In other words, was this individual acting alone based on inspiration, or was there a plot? Someone helped, for example, build those bombs?
This one seems a little more sophisticated than what we see in the past, where, remember, Sheikh Adnani in Raqqa, Syria, is telling people to pick up knives, vehicles, kill however you can, wherever you are. This one seems to be a little more premeditated, planned out, sophisticated, and so that's why it's still under investigation. You know, we don't have all the answers at this point in time.
But is it, so your suspicion is it could be ISIS or it could be al-Qaeda, al-Qaeda trying to make a comeback, is that right?
Al-Qaeda has a more growing presence in Syria with the downfall of ISIS. We're seeing ISIS squeezed in the caliphate in Mosul and now Raqqa, and with that comes the danger of them spreading and metastasizing in other places like into Europe, where we know 10,000 foreign fighters have come from Europe into the caliphate. We know that many of those have returned, and the question is whether this individual may have been a militant trained ISIS or al-Qaeda figure, or just inspired by the internet. But Wolf, at the end of the day, the result is still just as damaging. In this case, you had 30 people killed and 50 injured, and according to ISIS's statement, almost 100 killed and injured crusaders, talking about how more will come in the future to those who worship the cross. In their words, that's why Theresa May raised the threat level, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for.
Yeah, the highest threat level in the UK right now. But just, if you can, tell us why this was a more sophisticated attack.
Well, we've seen a lot of these stabbings, a lot of these use of vehicles, which is coming out of the Sheikh Adnani's playbook. But the bombings are always a little more sophisticated, complicated. Obviously, the terrorist, he chose a soft target right outside the concert hall, but before you get to the train station. So this was like the softest, most vulnerable spot, and that's where he waited for the majority of people to walk outside before he hit them. This is what we're concerned. I met with the New York Police Commissioner today, and this is what we're concerned about in the United States, is say, when the Yankees are playing a baseball game or there's a concert performance, they seem to be targeting sporting events like the Boston bombing to concert events like we saw in Paris and now just recently in Manchester. Those are the very difficult targets to harden, but we are working with Homeland Security to do that.
Yeah, that terror attack in Paris in 2015, an American rock band was performing there, and a well-known American was performing yesterday in Manchester as well. So do you see a connection there?
I think there is a connection. They're targeting concert performances of Western music. Remember, when you listen to ISIS's music, it's all done by voice, not by instruments. They don't like our Western music or way of life, and now they're targeting concerts with American performers. There's, I think, a very close connection, at least, what we see on the internet between what happened in Paris and now in Manchester. We don't want to see that event happen here in the United States.
What does U.S. intelligence know about this terrorist, Salman Abedi?
That his parents, from Libya, that they have returned to Libya. He has a brother who was, I believe, taken into custody for questions. That he was, I think, beginning to self-radicalize. I think the broader question, as a former federal prosecutor, is was there a cell in place that could have been driven by ISIS out of Raqqa, or was this just a simply, again, a lone wolf, self-radicalized individual? But as I said before, either way, the damage and destruction was just as evil.
What do you know about his travel? Did he travel anywhere for training, for example, or was he simply self-radicalized online back in Manchester?
That's something that we're looking at right now, is his social media, his travel. I can't say definitively, right now, whether he did in fact travel to Raqqa and back, but obviously travel to Turkey, to Iraq or Syria is number one on the list of the investigation. And in addition to opening up his social media to see what ties he had with that.